I feel like this will be a little strange and very non-conclusive. Cheers! Hello and welcome back. Thanks for joining. My name is Berit and today we are gonna step into the zone. Actually, we're not, because that might end very badly, but we're gonna talk about the zone because I recently read Roadside Picnic by Boris and Arkady Strugatsky. You might know the novel itself, you might also know the film Stalker from I think 1979 by Andrei Tarkovsky, which was pretty popular, and I think it's considered a kind of science fiction classic, and it's the most famous film by Andrei Tarkovsky. Or you might know some of the other books and video games that were inspired in different ways by this book. Because both, for example, Metro 2033, they use the concept of the Stalker, which comes from here, and also the video game Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl. They also use the concept of the Stalker and also the concept of the zone in their video games. So you could say that this book had, and still has actually, quite the influence on stuff. I watched the film Stalker a few months ago in the student cinema, and it impressed me quite a bit because it was very atmospheric, it was kind of strange or peculiar, and I really enjoyed it. When I watched the film, I felt that I didn't get all of the substance that was in there because I watched it in Russian with subtitles, and the only words that I recognized, like from what the characters said, were like da, niet, zona, and that's it. And frankly, subtitles can never transport all of the layers of language that the original has. At least I think so. So after the film, a colleague of mine recommended to me that I should read the book because A, she said the book is really good, B, she said that it would give me more of the substance that I felt I didn't get by just reading the subtitles, and C, she also said that she thinks I would like the style of the book. So I went ahead and read Roadside Picnic. And again, I gotta say, the book was kind of different from what I expected, and I feel that I say that about almost every book that I talk about here, but this time it's because I went into the reading thinking that, okay, I saw the film adaptation of that book. But actually, the film and the book are very, very different, and I would say that the film is not necessarily an adaptation of the whole book, but it's more like an adaptation of some aspects of the book, and especially of one of the chapters of the book. So yeah, that was kind of a surprise to me, but not a bad surprise, because I think it's super interesting that book and film are very different. I would say that if you know the film and you like the film, but you don't know the book, then I would absolutely recommend to go and read the book as well, because it's really different. So you might ask yourself, what is Roadside Picnic about? And I would say that this book doesn't have too much of a plot, which I don't mean in a negative way. But the thing is that in this world, a certain amount of years ago, there happened an alien visit. In 6 different areas on the planet, the aliens kind of left stuff. And those are the zones. And the book takes place in and around one of these zones. We don't really know where we are on Earth, but we can say that it's probably like North America-ish, because the town that is located near the zone where we are is called Harmond. And the zone is kind of a mysterious place. There are strange objects that the aliens have left in the zone, and we don't really know what they are or what their purpose is. Some of these objects, actually a lot of these objects, are pretty dangerous. And the zones are also now secluded areas, like you cannot just go into the zone because that's also very dangerous. And we also have an institute. I don't remember the name of it right now, but there's also an institute, a scientific institute that examines objects from the zones and the zone itself, and they want to find out more about what that zone is and what has happened there. Because there are also anomalies in the zone, some laws of physics don't really seem to apply there. Strange things happen, strange mutations actually occur in the zone. Some people come back from the zone with like super weird sicknesses that they die of, or maybe don't die of, but then they are mutated, or, you know, strange stuff and dangerous stuff. And of course, since there are many strange objects in that zone, there is also a kind of black market for these objects. So there's not only the Institute going into the zone to retrieve objects and then examine them, but there are also so-called stalkers who enter the zone and retrieve objects and hunt for objects and stuff like that, and they sell them on the black market, and they partly also sell them to the Institute actually. And our protagonist, Red Shoeheart, he is one of those stalkers. So he goes into the zone and gets objects from there, looks for objects. He also takes other people there who want to go into the zone, and then he sells the objects that he finds. And Red Shoeheart is not exactly a like fancy scientist or something, which is not very uncommon in science fiction literature, but he's actually quite the opposite. He's a very normal guy, he's a practical guy, and more of kind of like the survivor type who tries to get by as a stalker because he doesn't have another job. Although I think actually at the beginning he does have a job, but anyway, he is a stalker. But Red is also absent from the story for quite some time. He kind of appears and disappears and reappears, and you know. So I would actually say that the zone itself and the city, Harmond, they are also kind of main characters in the book. Not as in the zone as a character, but as in the book evolves around the zone and around Harmond and around the people who live there, and how the zone and this alien visit affects both the place and the people. So one of the central questions of the book is also like, what is the zone? What is or was this alien visit? What has happened there? What are the things that the aliens dropped here? Will the aliens come back at some point? Will they not? Those are kind of the questions that are central to the book. And it actually remains for us readers to make sense of it all, because the book doesn't give you a definite answer to any of these questions. So I found the book very peculiar, was the word that I actually looked up for this. It was kind of strange, really interesting, very intriguing, but also weird and yeah, peculiar, I would say, because you as a reader, you are also thrown into this world, you are thrown into this situation, and much like the characters in the book, you stand there and you're like, okay, so what is happening here? What has happened? What are these objects? What are we to do with that situation? And in the beginning, the book is a little bit confusing because you don't know shit. But I think that's also one of the strengths of the book, that you are kind of in the same situation as the characters. There was this visit, but you don't really know what it was. And depending on your beliefs and on your way to look at life, you might tend towards one theory or the other of like what this whole thing is. I finished the book and I was not sure whether I understood it, and while reading I was also kind of not sure, okay, do I understand everything right? What are the conclusions that I am supposed to draw from all of this? And that's the thing about the book. You have these mysterious objects. Sometimes I wasn't even sure like what this object that was described would look like, but that is kind of the thing with the stuff from the zone and the zone itself. The characters in the book, they also don't have like all the background information that they would maybe need to understand the zone itself and the objects from the zone. So there are some objects like batteries and stuff which they use in a way, but we don't even know whether the characters use those objects in the way that they were intended to be used, you know. And that I think is very interesting, and that also makes the book a bit strange, because you're not sure of like what's going on, what am I supposed to do with that? And that is the same situation as the characters are in. I know I'm repeating myself, but that's kind of the thing in the book. And the book also has a quite distinct narrative style, which I really did like. My colleague was right about that. It is pretty like colloquial, and partly you have kind of like a rough language because there is quite a lot of swearing in the book. And one of the things that I liked about the style was that I felt that it fits the book very well, because it feels very direct, very immediate, and you are often in the characters' heads, and you kind of experience how they talk to themselves. There is a lot of like talking to yourself going on, and that feels really interesting because you get to experience how they argue with themselves, how they try to make sense of stuff. A lot of the characters are often kind of angry about stuff, and so you get to experience their anger and their problems or their like worries. And I thought that fit the overall atmosphere of the book quite well, because I found it very strange but very good, like strange in a good way. And both the film and the book, I would say, are very, very atmospheric. So in this book you're kind of thrown into the zone. I'm sorry that rhymes, that's awful, but I thought it was quite cool, although I don't really have a conclusive thought about the book. And maybe that's a good thing, because that means that I will keep on thinking about the book actually. But also I think you can see how the book inspired other media. Like I did read Metro in the fall, and now I can really see that, okay, yeah, the concept of the stalker in Metro is really like the concept of the stalker here, with the difference that in Metro the stalkers are not doing something illegal, they're actually helping the people, because the zone is not like this area where the aliens were, but in that case the zone would be everything above ground. But yeah, in both cases the zone is really dangerous. And one of the things that I guess I hoped to get a little more of in this book was actually the zone, because you have, I think, 2 trips into the zone, one in the beginning and one in the end. But I would have liked to see more of the zone itself. I think that would have been a lot of fun, but that's also kind of what some of the other stories that use the concept of the stalker do. Like, I haven't played the Stalker games, but I have looked into a Let's Play of Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl. But I thought that coming like with the experience from the book, I felt that the game was very atmospheric, and it was really cool that you go into the zone, and that seems to be like your main area where you are, and where you experience these anomalies and mutations and all this crazy shit that's been going on there. Yeah, so that would have been cool to have more of in the book, I think. Although I would also say that with the atmosphere in the book, it kind of makes sense that you don't get very much of the zone, because that makes it even more strange and even more weird and even more peculiar, I guess. And therefore I think it's really cool that other media explore this particular part of the story. So yeah, in conclusion, this was a peculiar book, super interesting, also kind of strange, and it wasn't what I had expected, but not in a bad way, just in a, well, that was different kind of way. If you haven't read the book, but if what I babbled about now sounded interesting to you, then go ahead and read it, because I think it was a fun read, just also a strange read. And yeah, if you have read the book, or if you watched the film, or if you have played one of the games, let me know what you think. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Maybe I'll see you in the next one, and I will go continue watching the Let's Play of Stalker now, and then I will decide whether or not I will play this game. Bye!